Hi everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Victoria Fernandez and I make content about mental health and my experience with bipolar disorder and OCD. So in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about what it's been like for me to work a full-time job while having these mental illnesses. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you've known and seen that I haven't been posting very regularly since I, graduated and started working. And that's been for a lot of different reasons, and one of them has been like my mental health and managing that, as well as being a student versus being, a full-grown adult is a lot different in terms of like responsibilities and schedules and all that kind of stuff. But I think the best thing is that regardless of me, being so present as I've been before, I've still hadn't gotten a lot of you guys like messaging me, talking to me through Instagram or through the comments here, and that honestly means the world to me because it's like, we're a community and we're all here for each other, and that's just like my favorite part about this whole thing, connecting with you guys. So anyways, I thought this video would be really good because I feel like everybody, we all at some point or another are working, and sometimes we all face struggles at work that can cause anxiety, this or that. And although like everybody can face difficult times at some point, I feel like whenever you have a mental illness, it can be a little bit harder or trickier to manage certain situations because of how that scenario or that thing can affect us so much that it can maybe like make us unstable or like take some steps back in our mental health. So I'm going to talk about that. I have talked about this a little bit in my last few videos because I was struggling. So during my very first job and experience, I had a situation where I feel like it would have affected anybody, whether you have a mental illness or not, and it was just very difficult for me. And I've faced very key points throughout this, these past, 6-7 months, where I was really kind of scared of, relapsing and going back to what I was going through whenever I was like a teenager, whenever I first got diagnosed. I do have to say that I've had so many people along the way that have helped me get to where I am today, which is a much, much better place. I feel like things have really turned around. My mental health has been getting better and better every day. So like I said, that fear of relapsing, this is probably something that a lot of people go through. At work is something that I feel like we're there for the majority of the time in our week. So if something is not going right over there, then it's really difficult for it to not affect our mental health. But there's just, as you guys know, I'm very open about my mental illness. I mean, I make videos about it, so obviously at work people know about this and that. And although everybody has been very supportive of me and my mental health and all that kind of stuff, there's always this anxiety, fear of how I'm acting based on what I'm going through. To me, has felt kind of embarrassing sometimes, which is really hard to go through because I'm like, oh my gosh, people notice I'm having a mental health crises, or people notice that this and that, and I feel like that plays along in the stigma of mental illness. But I have to remind myself that we're all humans, and more people than we know actually face through the same things, and it's we're not alone, and it's okay, and some people will judge, and that's on them. But I feel like I found that there's more good people and more people who are willing to help and listen with empathy. And those are the people that we need to have in our lives, surround ourselves with, because we're human, like I said before, and these things happen. But in that note, I do say that I've had my moments where I've been really scared of relapsing. So at the very beginning, I started having very, not, I wouldn't say it was an episode, but I started seeing the signs of depression, and I was really scared because I wasn't eating. I started getting sick physically. I was crying all the time. I didn't want to go to work. I had so much anxiety. In the OCD aspect, there were so many intrusive thoughts over and over and over again. It was just so tormenting. Why did I say that? People don't like me, or but it was 24/7, to where it would affect my life so much that sometimes I felt like I couldn't handle it. I felt like I was going crazy because the voices in my head, for people who have OCD, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These thoughts go over and over and over and over again, were really terrifying. And I was catching myself going back to saying the phrases so something won't happen, or hyper focusing on every single thought, every single action, every single thing that I said. And so that's something I noticed, that whenever I'm going through a struggle, my mind goes into crisis mode and all these things start being like shot at me like in my head, and like it starts affecting me. So that was something that was really hard, because what would happen was like in social situations, like at work, I would like, you know, be more quiet, be more reserved, because my mind was being so loud and my mind was being so tormenting that anything I did or anything I said was gonna be bad, or like I just didn't know. So I would become like socially awkward, and like obviously like that makes it even worse, because it's like a cycle of, oh, why am I so awkward, like why am I this, or why did I say that? And that affected me so much. And I feel like that just, it kind of doesn't go away completely. I feel like I had like the anxiety of like, you know, as you know, OCD is under the anxiety umbrella. You get those thoughts like here and then, but like whenever you're really struggling, it's like it's hard to shut that down. It's hard to not pay attention. It's hard to not fall into the trap of believing everything that our minds tell us. So that's another way that this had really affected me. Then there was like a moment after struggling for so long that I had one week where something really good happened, and I feel like I had been in such a down for like a long time, that this happened and it kind of like shut up off like my emotions, and like my emotions just kind of like skyrocketed, and I was like super happy. Like I was like, you know, like those signs of hypomania, and I was just like on top of the world, super creative, super, you know, everywhere. Like my mind was going like 100 miles per hour, like thoughts were racing. And honestly, obviously, if you've been through this, you know that the hypomania can feel exciting and fun, because I mean, your mind is like kind of like active, and you're just kind of, you know, thoughts are just racing and you feel good. But you know, we have to keep ourselves in check on both sides, on like the depressive and the hypomanic or manic side, because of course, like, you know, there should be a balance. So I was like, okay, like to the people around me, if you're noticing I'm being a little weird, please tell me, because, you know, I have to make sure that I can like calm my body down, get to a better place, because we don't want to like have this like hypomanic episode and then like crash and then depression, and then, you know, so ultimately, you know, after that kind of week where I was like super happy, excited, and I knew I wasn't being myself either, I did go back down, and I was like, you know, staring at a wall. I couldn't focus, I couldn't work, to where at that point I decided to take leave from work, which I was kind of scared about, because obviously there's like so much stigma, like why is this person taking leave, or like they can't handle it, and like all this kind of like self-doubt, and like, you know, the mind's like, I don't deserve to be here, what am I doing with my life, like all this kind of stuff. But thanks to the people around me, again, like I work with phenomenal people. Like the people that I work with are so kind and genuine and willing to help. They're like, take leave, like go put yourself first, go like, you know, take care of yourself, take this time, nothing will happen, your job will be right here when you come back. And it was okay. And actually I'm super glad that I took that leave to take care of my mental health, to kind of disconnect from everything. And then like once I came back, things started to really turn around and shift. And like, you know, I think that in my mind, I wanted things to go a certain way. Specifically, I was like, okay, the only way that things will get better is if this, and this happen. And at some point I was very frustrated, because I was like, I keep fighting for my mental health to improve these things, and like, I feel like nothing happens. I feel like I'm stuck. And I was like, you know how I always tell y'all, like, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Like, you know, I was having my own hard days, which also obviously makes it harder to make videos sometimes, because I'm like, I don't feel motivational right now. So I was going through that, and then things happened where like things started to shift in a different way than I expected, but it started changing, and I'm much happier, and I'm able to like now really enjoy the things that like the benefits that we get at work, and like all this kind of stuff. And I also have to say that one of the things which I am a huge advocate for, and I feel like every company should have, is that we have these kind of groups at work where every 2 weeks we meet. For example, there's one for OCD, there's one for bipolar, there's one for other like mental health, you know, illnesses or all that kind of stuff. But I attend every 2 weeks to this one that's like for mood disorders, and it's just a group of other people from the company that we all come together. It's like anonymous, and we all just talk about our experiences. And I feel like that's such a important part of my life right now, because it's not like, oh, I'm talking to some random person out in the world. You're talking to people who work in the same company, people who go through the same experiences, and who can give you advice, because there's people from like that have been at the company for 20 years. There's people who've been in the company for 3. So it's like you get a bunch of different perspectives, and I'm a huge advocate for that. Every company should have it because for me, it's been so helpful in asking for advice and all that kind of stuff. So that has been really great. But yeah, I mean, it's been hard, I think. And I think that these are things that are going to happen at some point or another, maybe again, where like I'm struggling and I have to make sure that my mental illness doesn't, go down. It's not affected. Like I always have to be like, okay, am I going to therapy? I'm going to a psychiatrist. I'm taking my meds, and keeping that in check and keeping the people on me, like that are support me, really close to me, and asking for help and asking for support, and not letting our minds be like, oh, don't ask for help because you're a burden. No, like ask for help. This is the only way that we can get out of this and feel better. So my message here is that yes, living, like having a mental illness and going to work can be really hard. There's so many challenges that we have to face, and it's like being hyper focused on our actions, hyper focused on what we're thinking, feeling, doing, which can be really hard. But you're also not alone. Like there's so many of us, and there's so many people who are also struggling or who have overcome, and it's worth fighting for. I feel like things just get worse whenever we're going through something, and like we have to fight for our mental health, fight for our well-being. And once those things that are stressing us down kind of calm down, everything becomes much more manageable. So it's like kind of like if you're going through a struggle, it's like overcoming that barrier, fighting for yourself and figuring out how you can be more stable. And then everything just becomes like easier, and then that's where we can like grab the positive things of our mental illness. Like for example, bipolar disorder has a lot of creativity, and using that to make ourselves stronger, to make ourselves like better at what we do at work, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. Again, I want to say that you're not alone. You're deserving, you're important, you can do it, you're capable, and you're where you are for a reason. And always fight for your mental health, because it's so worth it. Like I said before, I thought that there was no light at the end of the tunnel, and then right when I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, like I'm done, things started to shift. So never stop fighting, because like what your reality is right now doesn't mean that it'll be like that forever. Sometimes we just have to go through these things, and like as cliche as it sounds and as annoying as it sounds, because like a lot of people would be like, oh, this is just gonna make you stronger. I was like, I don't care if it makes you stronger, like when we're going through that difficult times, like I don't care, I don't want to go through this, like I'm tired of going through like difficult moments, but that's life, and like we're always gonna have some type of struggle, and yes, it'll make us stronger, as annoying as that sounds, and we'll be more prepared for the future. And it's like, I know it can get frustrating, you just want to be like, I want to be on the other side of this, I want to be better, I want to be thriving, and you'll get there. Patience is key, and it's very difficult. I lost my patience a lot, so I know how hard it is, but it is possible. And again, like don't let your mental illness destroy or like make you feel bad about who you are. You're strong, and like this is just like, I mean, everybody has some type of struggle in their lives. This is the one that we got, and that's okay, because if we take the positive things out of it, we can really make us and help, that can really help us thrive in life, by using it as our strength rather than our weakness, by understanding it and being 100%, well, I don't want to say 100%, but working on our self-awareness, working on understanding when our body's telling us something like, oh, why am I getting sick all the time? Why am I not being able to sleep? Why am I not eating? And like understanding when those alarms are going off and they're telling you you need to do something to take care of your mind. Because your mental health is more important than absolutely anything, and I can attest to this, that if your mental health is not okay, you're not going to be okay, you're not going to be able to perform or do everything that you want to do, because you're not there, you're not 100%. And so it's like, it's so important to take those measures necessary to get to the point where we are okay and thriving and stable. And before I end this video, please don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. Like, comment, share with somebody who you think might find this useful. And as always remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and a bad day does not mean a bad